So, hello guys, I welcome you all to today's lecture. So, yesterday we have left at the end of our lecture, and we there were two topics left. So, we have covered municipalities and panchayats. After that, we have also covered the constitutional bodies and how they work, who are the members of them. Okay, so now today we are going to cover the important acts by the government. It is a really important topic. It comes every year. Let me check my voice once whether my voice is coming to you or not. Okay, so we can begin with our lecture now. Let me just open. Okay. Uh, Pretty really well. So we are starting with the historical background. Okay. So historical background is Queen Elizabeth I granted East India Company a charter in December 31. We know that when Britishers they are moving towards little bit history after the polity, but you need to know the basis of the laws and the customs that are today are heavily influenced by the British culture that came to our India. So we are going to start with the emergence of the Britishers. So Queen Elizabeth I granted charter on December 1600. After that, the charter gave the company to exclusive right to trade with East, including India. Okay. Now, first of all, now we are going to start with the all the regulating act that were came. It started from 1773 when British government tried to regulate on the East India Company. They started introducing the regulating act because they thought if we give an extreme power to the company, then it may be dangerous for them also. So now we begin. So in 1773, Governor of Bengal was converted to the Governor General of Bengal. Okay, first Governor General of Bengal was Warren Hastings. Yeah, application of executive, four members to assist the Governor General. Okay, so prior to that, there were the governors only, but now there were three, four provinces in India like Bengal, Madras, Bombay. So to cover all of these, there was one single Governor General that was made. He was known as the Governor General of Bengal. Okay, so he will be getting four members to assist Governor General. Okay. Bombay and Madras Presidency subordinate to Bombay and establishment of the Supreme Court of Calcutta. This is really important. Okay, when was the first Supreme Court established? It was established after the Regulating Act of 1773 in okay, in 1774, the Supreme Court of Calcutta was established, and there were one Chief Justice and three other justices. It prohibited the company servant from taking any bribe or present from India. Court of Director managed commercial function will report to revenue, civil and military affairs. Now coming on to the Warren Hastings, the last Governor of Bengal plus first Governor General of Bengal. Eliza MP, first Chief Justice of Supreme Court. She was pre-independence, and Justice Hiralal Kania was first Chief Justice of India post-independence. So, what do we learn from the Regulating Act of 1773? So, first of all, the Governor of Bengal was made to Governor General of Bengal. Who was it? Warren Hastings. After that, there was a setup of the Supreme Court at where at Calcutta, and there will be one chief judge and three other judges. Okay. Amending Act 1781. It was passed to rectify the defects of Regulating Act 1773. It is also known as Act of Settlement. Okay. Exempted governor. After that, there was Amending Act at 1781. So It was also known as Act of Settlement, exempted Governor General and Council from the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. It gave the supreme power to the Governor General that they cannot be tried in the Supreme Court. Governor General was the first Governor General of Bengal, Warren Hastings. Now coming on to the Pitt's India Act 1784. It was named after William Pitt. Okay, the board of control, it created a board of control, okay, to manage administrative affairs. Dual control started here, okay. So it, like, there were three acts. Regulating Act of 1773, amending act came. What amending act does, it separated the governor, it separated the Governor General of Bengal from any trial in the Supreme Court, okay. Pitt's India Act of 1784 introduced the board of control, managed affairs, and dual control started from here, okay. It was called as half loaf system, as it sought to mediate parliament and the company directors, okay. For the first time, company territory were India were called the British possession in India. Remember this point. After the British Pitt's India Act 1784, the officially the British possession in India, the company territories in India were called British possession. Dual control, half loaf system, what is it? Okay, commercial function to be managed by court of director, administrative function by the board of control. Okay, three main things happened in this case also. First of all, in Pitt's Index 17, a board of control was introduced. Okay, subjects were divided into two parts, like administrative affairs and commercial affairs. So commercial affairs will be controlled by the court of directors, and administrative affairs to be controlled by the board of control. Okay, and it introduced the half loaf system. A half loaf system means these the thing that I have explained to you. Okay, and also remember, the it was the first time when the British positions in India, companies positions in India were officially called as British position. Now coming on to the Charter Act 1793, it extended the trade monopoly of the company another 20 years. Okay, Commander in Chief would be the member of Governor General, is not important. Just important in Charter Act 1793, the trade monopoly was extended to more, 20 years. Member of Board of Control and staff were to be paid out of the Indian revenue. Okay. Charter Act of 1813. It formally ended the East India Company's trade monopoly over the Indian market, reflecting the shift in British economic policy towards free trade and continued monopoly of the company over trade and tea with China. So in 1830, most of the things were taken from the Britishers, and it ended the trade monopoly of the British East India Company. When the Britishers saw that their power is increasing, they tried to suppress that. So for this, they introduced that they are going to uh, reduce the trade monopoly, and they have only right to trade in tea and trade with China. Okay, it asserted sovereignty of the British Crown over the company's territories in India. Again, you are seeing that British thing. It allowed Christian missionaries to come to India to promote Christianity. They started conversion. It is really important. And 1 lakh were provided to spend on the education. And secondly, 1 lakh were provided just to spread the religion of the Christianity through the missionaries. It authorized the local governments of India to impose taxes on a person for not doing so. Okay. First Christian missionary organization was the Serampore Mission, was founded by William Carey. Okay, just remember this point, it is important. And first Christian missionary in India is the Christian missionary in India is Thomas Apostle. Okay, now coming on to the Charter Act 1833, it is also known as Saint Helena Act. Okay, Governor General of Bengal converted to the Governor General of India in 1833, deprived Governor of Bombay and Madras of their legislative powers. Okay, now the power will come on to the hands of the Governor General of India. Earlier, we know that Warren Hastings was made the Governor General of Bengal after the Governor of Bengal. Now he will be regulating. and Governor General of India will be working from the Bengal, and the powers from the Madras and the Bombay Presidency was taken away. Okay, it ended the activities of the East India Company as a commercial body, become purely administrative body, lost monopoly with trade with China. It provided for the establishment of the Law Commission of India to consolidate and codify Indian laws. It attempted to introduce a system of open competition for selection of the. Okay, it was the first time that it was introduced that they will be attempting to increase the open competition in the civil services examining. It was generally an attempt. It was done by after this by Dalhousie. Okay, law member to be governor's executive council Thomas Babington Macaulay was. Okay, there was a law commission established by this law, and who was the first member or the first head? Macaulay was the first head. This it completely abolished the activities of East India Company and transformed it into purely administrative body responsible for the governors and governance of the British. Now they are started to earn more money from it. So by this act, they said that you will be not dealing in the trade thing, or you are not just a company. Now the East India Company will be purely a administrative body. It will be like a government of a country. Okay. So who was the first Governor General of India? First Governor General of India was Lord William Bentinck. Okay, and it ended activities as a commercial body. Okay. Now coming on to the Charter Act of 1850, separated legislative administrative function of the Governor General Council. It is not that much important, but just listen it. Under it, there was the addition of 6 new members to the council as a legislative councillor. Introduced open competition for the civil services. I have said that in 1853, it was introduced by mm, the Governor General of that time. He was Dalhousie, and he introduced the open competition for the civil services. 1833 attempted to do that, but it was not successful. One name to remember is important from that part is Macaulay. Okay, as he also introduced the education system, or we can say downward filtration theory. Okay, extended the company territory, but the period was not specified. Okay, introduced local representative in Indian Legislative Council. Okay, Charter Act of 1853. Only 6 legislative members of the Governor General, 4 members were appointed. Okay. Now coming out of the Crown Rule. What is Crown Rule? Government of India Act 1858 abolished the East India Company and transferred the powers of the government territories revenue to the British Crown. Okay, it is also known as the Queen's Proclamation. The whole things were taken uh, to the British Crown. It changed the designation of the Governor General of India, that the Victory Viceroy of India, Lord Canning, became the first Viceroy of India. Okay, it ended the dual government by abolishing Board of Control and the Court of Directors. Okay. It ended the dual government of the rule of the 1858. It created a new office of Secretary of State for India, assisted by a 15-member council with complete authority and control over Indian administration. So it abolished East India Company, the Queen's Government of India Act 1858, also known as the Queen's Proclamation, transferred the powers of the government to territories and revenue to British Crown. It changed the designation of the Governor General of India to the Viceroy. Who was the first Viceroy of India? He was Lord Canning, and last Governor General of India, Lord Canning. Okay, Lord to cut. It ended the dual system of the government by abolishing Board of Control and Court of Director, by which it was introduced. It was introduced by the Pigs India Act 1784. It is also known as the half-loaf system. The Peel Commission was introduced in 1858. Okay, Peel Commission suggested that we should reduce the number of Indian soldiers after the Sepoy mutiny at Barakpur. Okay, so when they will do this, there will be more control on the army of the Britishers because they will be native of their country. Okay, so this was the scene. It was known as the Peel Commission. Now coming on to the Indian Council Act of 1861. Associated Indian with the law-making process, 1862, Viceroy Lord Canning nominated three Indians to Legislative Council: Raja of Banaras, Maharaja of Palatia, and Sir Dinkar Rao. It initiated the process of decentralization by restoring the legislative powers to the Bombay and Madras presidencies. Okay, it provided for the establishment of new legislative council for Bengal, Northwestern Province, and Punjab. Okay, recognition of the portfolio system introduced by the Lord Canning in 1859. It empowered the Viceroy to issue ordinance without the concurrence of the Legislative Council during the emergency. The life of such ordinance was 6 months. Okay, the ordinance system, we know that ordinance, what is it? In today's word, ordinance, we can go with Article 123, read it. Then I will explain it after this, after some time when we'll be covering that topic. So it provided for the establishment of the new council. Not that much important, just remember that it is associated Indians with the law making process. Okay, it introduced three Lord Canning nominated three Indians to Legislative Council: Raja of Banaras, Maharaja of Patiala, and Sir Dinkar Rao. Okay, now coming on to the Indian Councils Act of 1892, it introduced the indirect elections. It permitted discussion on financial matter, allowed members to question the executive, enhancing the accountability. Okay, Indian Council Act of 1892. It introduced the indirect election. It permitted the discussion on the financial matter, allowed 1892 का आप लोग याद रखिएगा. Things were becoming more softer. You can see, allowing member to question the executive and enhancing the accountability. Now, coming on to the one of the most important Indian Council Act of the 1909. It is also known as the Monte-Millon Reform, and Minto is also known as father of the where's communalism in India. Communalism, do you know? Dividing the communities based on their ethnicity or religion, these kind of things. Okay, increase the size of the legislative council, both central and provincial. The number of members in the central legislative council was raised from 16 to 60. Okay, members Indian Council Act के official member majority in central legislative council और non-official majority in provincial legislative council. It was provided first. So Satyendra Prasad Sinha was first Indian to join, later appointed as the law member. Okay, it introduced the separate electorate for the Muslims. That is why he is known as the father of Indian communalism. Okay, and Muslim members were elected by the Muslim voter. Okay, no other can participate, no other person can vote, so it was provided to the Muslim members. Were allowed to ask supplementary questions and move resolution on the budget and so on. It provided for the separate representation of the presidency, corporation, chambers of commerce, universities, and jamidar. Okay, Government of India Act 1919, also known as the Montagu Chelmsford Reform. Montagu secretary. Okay, and Viceroy was Chelmsford in during the 1990. So what we learned from that? So Indian Council Act 1909, it increased the number of the legislative council, both central and provincial, from 16 to 60. Okay, members, official majority in central legislative council and non-official majority in provincial legislative council. Apart from that, first time an Indian member was appointed as a law member, who was Satyendra Prasad Sinha. Okay, and apart from that, there was a separate electorate. That is the main point of this 1909 Indian Council Act. Now coming on to the Government of India Act 1990. So Montagu's the Secretary of State and Lord Chancellor Viceroy of India, it introduced diarchy at provinces, classified all subjects of administration into the central subject and the provincial subject. There are two subjects that were made, the central and the uh, provincial subject. Provincial subjects were further divided into the two parts: transfers and reserve surface. So we will learn what are the transfer subject, okay, and reserve subject. So for the transferred subject, the provisions are transferred. The governor general is not responsible for that, and in this word come public health, education, long self government. What is for the reserve subject? So police, administration, prison, land law, land revenue, and these are the things money related to the monetary terms, okay, was in the reserve subject. It was under the control of the governor general. It introduced the bicameralism and the direct election in the country for the first time of an upper house, uh, council of state, and lower house legislative assembly. It required 3 and 6 members of the viceroy executive council other than commander in chief were to be Indian. It created new office of the High Commissioner of India in London, transferred him to some function. Okay, Public Service Commission (PSC) was established, and a Central Public Commission was set up in 1926 for recruiting civil servants. Remember that there was Public Service Commission was introduced when by the Government of India Act 1990. It extended the separate electorate to the Sikhs, Indian Christian, and Anglo Indians and the Europeans to increase the representation of theirs in the central level because they are the minority committees. Okay, so now coming on to the what are the main takeaways from it? It introduced diarchy at provinces, bicameralism at the center, and it divided into two parts: transfers and reserve subject. Transfer subject are handled by the provinces. There is no role of the governor there, but viceroy there. But in the reserve subject, it is done by the viceroy, and they are generally related to the money matter and the power handling. Okay, apart from that, there was the establishment of the Public Service Commission, I would say, in 1926. It separated provincial budget from the central budget, and it extended the separate electorates to the other minority communities, I would say. So Government of India Act 1935 enforced on 1st April 1937. It abolished diarchy in the provinces and introduced diarchy at the center, provided autonomy to the provinces. Okay, it abolishes diarchy at provinces and introduced diarchy at center, and it reversed generally and bicameralism at the center. It provided for the establishment of the All India Federation consisting provinces and princely state as a unit. It introduced bicameralism in 6 out of 11 provinces. Earlier, provinces were divided by the diarchy, but now there will be bicameralism in the 6 out of 11 provinces, that are Bengal, Madras, Bihar, Assam, and the United Provinces. UP is the UP part. The reserved certain number of seats to the scheduled castes, women, and laborers. It extended. Now the role of scheduled caste would come because the influence of the Baba Sahab was increasing, so he wanted right for the suppressed communities. So now they will increase the role of the SCs and STs in this. It extended adult franchises. Only 14% of the total population have right to vote. Reserve Bank of India was established. Okay. Burma, now Myanmar, was separated from India. The act divided Burma was separated by the Government of India Act 1935, and Federal Code. We know that by the Government of India Act 1935, the Federal Court was made at New Delhi, and it was later named at Supreme Court of India. And when was the court established first time in India? You will remember that first time it was established in by the Regulating Act of 1773, and in 1774 there was the establishment of the court. How many members of there are were there in that court? There were one chief justice and three supplementary judges to support him. Okay, presidency power were given to the viceroy. It abolished the council of the 15 members. Two new provinces were created, Sindh and Odisha. ठीक है, And there was the appointment of the Auditor General, establishment of the Federal Railway Authority. These are not that much important, but SSC is asking unconventional question. So we remember that. The act also divided the powers between center and unit in three lists: federal list for center, 50, 59 items; provincial list for provinces with 54 items; and the concurrent list for both with 36 items. Okay. Indian Independence Act of 1947. It ended the British rule in India and declared India as independent and sovereign state from August 15, 1947. So partition of India and creation of two independent dominions, India and Pakistan, with the right to secede from British Commonwealth was done. Okay. It abolished the office of Viceroy. Okay. It provided Governor General, who was to be appointed by the British King on the advice of the Dominion Cabinet. With the abolished It abolished the office of Secretary of State for India and transferred its function to the Secretary of State. Okay, it is the one of the most important acts because we got freedom here. It ended the British rule in India. Then partition of India, Indian Pakistan, abolished office of Viceroy. Done. Then for the some time, the Governor General was to be appointed by the British King on the advice of the Dominion Cabinet. Okay, it abolished the office of Secretary of State in India and transferred his function to the Secretary of State Commonwealth Affairs, proclaimed the lapse of British paramountcy over the Indian princely. Just they are giving up the powers to the Indians. Now it granted freedom to the Indian princely state, either join the Dominion of India and Dominion of Pakistan. Governor General would have full power to ascend bill His Majesty. It designated the Governor General of India, the provincial governor, as constitutional nominal head of the state. It dropped the title of Emperor of India from the royal title of the King of England. Okay, and it is also known as the Partition Plan or Mountbatten Plan or June 3rd Plan. Okay, you just need to remember because you should dive hard learning the all the facts regarding to the Indian Independence Act of 1947. As an Indian citizen, it is really important to learn. At the stroke of midnight between the 14th and 15th August 1947, the British rule came to end. First Governor General of Independent India was Mountbatten. First and last Indian Governor General कौन थे? C. Rajgopalachari. Now there are some sources of the Constitution of India. Okay, so different sources, and there are different functions in the government of India, uh, or we can say the constitution, and they're taken from around the world. We are the largest constitution of the world, and we have taken it from the different countries. It was mainly taken from the government of India Act 1935. Apart from that, let us see what functions are taken from which country. Just wait 5 minutes, guys. I'm coming. Next part of our topic, that is the sources of the Indian Constitution. So first of all, we are starting from the United Kingdom. So what are the things that we have taken from the UK? So parliamentary system of government was taken from the United Kingdom. Bicameral legislature, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Rule of law, legislative procedure, single citizenship, cabinet system, concept of a speaker and his role. You will see that the things that are related to the parliament, apart from the election and the privilege, apart from the elections, most of the things are taken from the Weimar, are taken from the this constitution, United Kingdom constitution. Okay, so and it is an unwritten constitution, so it is much more flexible. But when you have written constitutions such as US and India, then you will be having more difficulty in changing it. Okay, so what are the different concepts? Bicameral legislature were taken, parliamentary system of the government, single citizenship, I would say, rule of law. Okay, and cabinet system is taken from there. Okay, now coming on to the Australia. Australia is generally the amalgamation thing. Australia comes. Okay, like joint sitting हो गया, या आपका trade, freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse. Okay, and concurrent list हो गई हम लोगों की, ठीक है. There are three lists we know: union, state and concurrent list. So concurrent list is taken from the Australia, and joint sitting of the two houses is also taken from the Australia. Now moving on to the France. Republican form of government, idea of liberty, equality and fraternity included in the preamble. And what is about Canada? Federal structure with a strong center. Okay, residuary power vested in the center, appointment of the governors by the center, advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, quasi-federal nature of the constitution. Okay, now coming on to the Russia. Russia has fundamental duties. So Russia से हम लोग को क्या मिला है? We have got ideal of justice, social, economical and political in the preamble. Okay, Weimar Constitution of Germany. Emergency powers we have taken from the Germany. Okay, provisions regarding proclamation and the things regarding to them. We know that Germany was in the dictatorship during time, so the things that are related to the emergency are much more of the dictatorial, because most of the rights are taken from the people. So you can remember that. According to that, concept of the procedure established by law is taken from the Japan, or the due process of law in the US. Now USA opposite है, the concept of procedure established by law is taken from the Japan. What are things that we have taken from America? Majority part, I would say, is taken from the American Constitution. So fundamental rights, most important, independence of judiciary, it is really important. Judicial review, written constitution, preamble, visa for president and vice president, impeachment procedure, removal of Supreme Court, and separation of powers among the three organs. These things are taken from the USA. Now coming on to the Ireland. So Ireland से आप लोग एक चीज याद रखिएगा, इसमें डी आता है तो इससे आप लोग डीपीएस भी याद रखना. And the nomination of the members to the Rajya Sabha by the president, and method of election to the president is also taken from the Ireland. Government of India Act 1935, we come to say, federal structure of the government, office of governor, public secretaries commission, emergency provision, administrative detail, judiciary system, provincial autonomy and integrated judiciary. These things are taken from where? These things are taken from the Government of India Act 1935. Integrated things are taken from the Canada. Canada में आप लोग एक चीज notice करोगे, the things that are given to the central power, more authority is generally taken from the Canada. Now coming on to the South Africa part, procedure for the amendment of the constitution is taken from the South Africa. Election of Rajya Sabha members using proportional representation by single transferable vote is also taken from the South Africa. Okay. So amendment is taken CA, constitutional amendment, SA from South Africa. Okay, and election of Rajya Sabha member using proportional representation and single. So the nomination is taken from the Ireland, but the election of the Rajya Sabha is taken from where? It is taken from the South Africa. So ऑस्ट्रेलिया से क्या मिला है? कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट मिली है, एंड फ्रीडम ऑफ ट्रेड, कॉमर्स एंड इंटरकोर्स विद इन द कंट्री, joint sitting of the two houses of the parliament to resolve the deadlock. Okay, so it is also taken from the Australia, joint sitting of the two houses of the parliament to resolve. now we are coming on to the PYQ part. We have covered two topics today. The lecture may be today is a little bit short because I have classes today, but we are going to cover now 50 questions of the PYQs that came here of the like. So now coming on to the part of the खर्ची फेस्टिवल कहाँ का होता है? खर्ची पूजा होती है हमारी, मुझे पता है कहाँ पे है. It is in Tripura. Okay, commemoration of the state day of Tripura. No, veneration of the tribal deities होती है इसमें. खर्ची पूजा में जनरली जो 14 deities होती है उनकी वर्शिप करी जाती है, and it is a religious ritual and the spiritual purification of the society. Now coming to the Kambala. Kambala is generally related to the buffalo racing. Okay, it is celebrated where? It is celebrated in the Karnataka, and uh, it is celebrated of the harvest of the paddy and reflects the prosperity and the festive spirit of the farming community. During the community Solung festival, okay, by the Adi tribes. Solung, Adi भाई सो रहे हैं, ठीक है, in with Aruna, which traditional drink is shared. So आप लोग याद रखना, the apong is the drink that is being shared by the Adi tribe. Okay, so Tingri tribe, other on other. So Adi tribe drinks apong in Arunachal Pradesh while celebrating Solung festival. Nabbana, new rice during the Nuakhai and Sambalpur is offered to which deity? So it is offered to Ma Samleshwari, and during the Nuakhai agriculture festival in Sambalpur, Odisha, Nabbana offered to the goddess Ma Samleshwari. It is a traditional that first grains of the seasonal crop are first presented to the goddess as an offering bhog. Okay. Ladakhi near Losar is welcome to which do models dash I beg your. Okay, Losar is celebrated. Ibex is the animal that is used. A species of the wild goat. Okay, it is like Barasingha, or we can say it is a mixture of the like deer with a horn. Okay, so these models are praised or decorated on the walls of the kitchen in the house to bring prosperity and happiness in the new year. Which of the following best captures the cultural and the historical essence of Bitsu Mela? So it is a week-long festival celebrated by the Jaunsari tribal. Okay, remember it. It is celebrated. Bitsu Mela is celebrated in Uttarakhand. By whom? By the people of the Jaunsari community in Chakrata. Okay, it is for the goddess Santura Devi. Okay, an incarnation of the goddess Durga. The festival of Bhagoria begins on which before which Hindu festival? 7 days before which festival Bhagoria got? Bhagoria festival because 7 days before Holi in the tribal areas of the Madhya Pradesh, especially in the Bhil, Bhelia tribes. This festival is celebrated in the month of the Falguna, February, March from the 7 days before Holi, and people of Bhil community celebrate dances and heart mela, local fair and social services. Okay. Which of the following statement uniquely identifies a symbol or lesser known element like Tej for the both nature and mythology? Tej. Tej is celebrated by whom? It is celebrated by the women in the northern part, I would say. Tej public holiday during the month of the Adi. Okay. Tej referred to as lunar goddess linked to the fertility and rain. I would go with this option because we know that uh, Tej comes from a red insect in monsoon. From where they are talking now. Folk traditional tea is beloved bread inside tea is seen in monsoon, which symbolizes the rejuvenation of the nature. It there is element okay. It connects mythological context. We know that there is Tej fast, I would say, and Shiv Parvati Tej fast. Therefore, it is considered lesser known but symbolic identity. Okay, the Tusu festival primarily celebrated in the tribal belt of Jharkhand, especially around the area between Tamar and Rath. Okay, so Tusu festival is celebrated where Tusu festival is a major harvest festival celebrated in the tribal areas of the Jharkhand. Okay, end of the month, Posh. Coming on to the next. The festival is especially popular in Bundu, Tamar, Riyadh region, and clay idols are used in this. Okay, what is the answer? The answer for this is B. Bundu. Bundu, Tamar, and Riyadh region. Really tough question. I would say आप state पूछ लो, but you are asking a particular village or the city of that festival is totally hitting below the belt to the students. Which of the following best captured the core ritual symbolism Fagli Kunz festival of the Pattan Valley? Okay. What is the best capture the core ritual symbolism of the Fagli, the festival of the Pattan Valley? Bajra symbolizing Baraja, symbolizing Agappa is a marigold and a turmeric placed in the village shrine. Punaha involves symbolic blowing indoors using the willow stick. Okay, two. The answer is the Punaha involves symbolic indoors using pillow stick reflecting a farming holes during the snow. Okay. Fugli festival is celebrated late January and early February, which is locally known as Kunz or Kunz. This festival is a symbol of hope for farming and agriculture, where people wish for liberation from the snow or the cold to begin new season. What is the name of the festival celebrated simultaneously by unmarried tribal girls during the Khatam celebration in the Jharkhand and eastern India? Okay, so Khatam celebration तो कर्मा होगा ना इसका आंसर जावा tribal festival unmarried celebrate Java festival in which they perform specific dances. Okay, this occasion the girls offer a green melon to their deity, symbol of a sun. The human expectation such obtaining bhojani. Okay, Java festival is celebrated in nature. Okay, tribal girl. It is for the to get the sun. Okay. Which of the following best captures the cultural essence and rituals of the Barandol Mela, Rajasthan? Okay. Where opens with Dev Viman extended by the Akhada Artists and Council immersion nights and immersion across the city. Lord Sriji and Raghunath Ji's procession. यार क्या बोलूँ मैं इसका क्या होगा बरांडोल मेला whereas the Barandul Mela is celebrated only in Madhya Pradesh and really held between Shravan and Shraddha and led by monks in the caves. Super fair monks कब से हो रहा है Lord Sriji plus the great traders तो देखो fair we know that मेले में कौन आते हैं traders आते हैं so it is given this of the Lord Sriji and Raghunath Ji's procession on Jal Julani Gayaras attract traders from the several states. Okay. खर्ची पूजा कितनी deities के लिए होता है अभी हम लोग पढ़ के आए it is for the 14 deities. Okay. Chaturdash Devta, they are known as, and the festival is celebrated for 7 days in the month of July. Okay. Which of the following statement about Hola Mohalla festival of the Punjab is correct? So, which of the following is correct for the Hola Mohalla festival? Huh. It's okay. So, martial art Langar Nihang at the Anandpur side. Okay. Hola Mohalla is generally Hola Mohalla. As the name suggests, like Hola Mohalla, it is like a brave. So it is performed showcases martial art Langars Nihang monk battle at the Anandpur Sahib. Okay. The historical festival is started by Guru Gobind Singh. Okay. The word Nukum. Nukum means fest. It is known as the collectiveness and it is celebrated by whom? It is celebrated by the Nishi tribe of Arunachal Pradesh and Nukum kum का मतलब क्या है? You have to remember that it is for the collectiveness. Why you have to remember each and every dance in very detail. Means land, earth, kum means togetherness and unity. It is a agricultural festival. It is celebrated by the Nukum is by Nishi tribe. Which of the following statement about the Chitrai festival of the Madurai is correct? Okay. चित्राई फेस्टिवल सेलिब्रेटेड इन मंथ ऑफ द मंथ लॉर्ड अराउंड द गोल्डन हॉर्स चित्राई में ओके जो लॉर्ड Kalajar है. He arrives on the Golden Horse Chitrai festival on the from the Kalajar temple, entering Vagai river from riding a golden horse. It falls in the April and the beginning of the Tamil Nadu Chitrai and is celebrated for 15 days. Chitrai festival. Okay. The Potungu festival is celebrated by the Tusa tribe of Arunachal Pradesh, primarily observed to seek blessing from which deity before the. So इसका आप रैंगर आप लिख के आइएगा. The Pongtu tribe celebrate for the Rangthathog. Okay. Rangkothak. Okay. It's a goddess. Rangkothak. Thupkia mock gun made of bamboo uses goncha fruit as bullet. सही है. Chariot procession was started by the Chalukya river. Ruler Rath Yatra begins Ashar and in Datia. इसका आंसर क्या है यार? Again, very absurd question. Given assertion to इसका आंसर होगा A. Like only two statement थुपकी मॉकगन होती है and the chariot procession start from the it was started by the Chalukya river. Rath Yatra does not begin from here. Okay. And Rath Yatra comes Ashar Shukla Ditya and whom it celebrates Maharaja Purushottam Dev. Now coming to the next part. The naming of Good Friday as a positive term universally accepted and scholarly. It's सही है. The term good to signify positive theological meaning of the Jewish sacrificial death. I would say इसका आंसर होगा A is false but R is correct. Good Friday is not universally regarded as a positive term. Some Christians call it even this is days a commemoration of the crucifixion of the death of the Jesus Christ. So both the options are contradicting to each other. Like if the Jesus is dying, then why the Christians will be happy? They will be sad. So option only the reason correct, but assertion is wrong. Which of the following statement is correct regarding the Dungri festival of Himachal Pradesh? It is celebrated in the honor of the Hidimba, wife of Bhima. Okay, ये कहाँ पे होता है? डूंगरी फेस्टिवल होता है हिमाचल प्रदेश में एंड it is celebrated for the on in the honor of the Hidimba Devi. She was the wife of Bhim. Which important event is celebrated during the festival of the Baisakhi in Chandigarh? Which important event is celebrated during the festival of Baisakhi in the Chandigarh? So Baisakhi पे क्या करा जाता है भाई? Birth of Guru Nanak नहीं. Founding of Khalsa Panth was done on the Baisakhi in 1699 by the Guru Gobind Singh Ji. There was the establishment of the Khalsa Panth. Okay. Which festival of Kerala has entered Guinness World Records for being single largest gathering of the women for the religious activity? Vishu, Atukal Pongal, ठीक है, Atukal Pongal celebrated in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala is considered the world largest single religious gathering of the women. Its first record was created in 97 when the 15 lakh women participated in the festival. Later in 2009, it broke its own record by the 25 lakh women. Okay. Jitvi Puja, performed by married women to worship goddess Parvati, is popular in which state? Jitvi Puja. कहाँ पे होती है? It is celebrated in Jitvi Pujan is popular among the Hindu ritual mainly in the Maharashtra. Veerampattinam festival is celebrated in with no conventional festivals were asked in the last year SSC exam and this year it is going to be same. So Puducherry is the answer for the Veerampattinam. Which of the following is Tej, Ganga or Karga? Karga is in Karnataka. Karnataka is specifically from the Karnataka. In the Gangaur festival, it is one of the most cultural special tradition of where goddess Parvati and Lord Shiva are worshipped. Okay, Nowruz festival it is celebrated by the Parsis. Okay, Nowruz festival, Parsi community New Year. What is the Tulip festival is celebrated in? Tulip festival is celebrated in which of the following city? Tulip festival is celebrated, organized in the Indira Gandhi Tulip Garden in the Dal Lake in the Srinagar. Okay. Dhamuri Urs festival is held in which Indian state? Dhamuri Urs festival is organized in the place called Dhamoni in Sagar district of the Madhya Pradesh. Okay. Chhappar Mela is held in which following state? Chhappar Mela is in Jharkhand, पंजाब. ओके यार जिसमें भी डबल पी हुआ है ना तो आप उसमें एक तरीके से अगर साउथ इंडियन नाम ना हो देन यू कैन गो विद पंजाब बस. छप्पर मेला इज इन द भद्रपाद सितंबर छप्पर विलेज ऑफ द गुग्गा पीर. ओके. कंडाली उत्तराखंड. ओके. भूटिया ट्राइब of the Shokar tribe of Pithoragarh, Kumaon district of the Kandali is also a grass there in the Uttarakhand, which is really painful, and parents used to beat with it to his Vittukat festival is in Kerala is associated with which? Vittukat festival in Kerala is associated to which religious community? Vittukat, I do not know. I do not have any idea. It is related to the church located in the Thiruvananthapuram of the district. This church has more than 500-year old and it is important pilgrimage site for the Latin Catholic community. Naju festival is celebrated in which of the following state? बिना देखे नागालैंड मार दो कि नाजू नागा. Okay, Nazu festival Nagaland. It is primarily celebrated by the Pochri tribe of the Nagaland agriculture cycle, and other important festival of the Nagaland are Hornbill, Sikkim, Mossootham. Nagaur fair कहाँ का है? Nagaur is in the Rajasthan. Okay. It is a Ramdev cattle fair in India and second largest cattle fair. It is in Sonpur cattle fair in Bihar, held in Nagaur district of Rajasthan. In West Bengal, the festival of Durga Puja start with which of the following events? So दुर्गा पूजा किससे स्टार्ट होती है? इट इज स्टार्ट विद द नवमी. महालया ड्यूरिंग द महालया. देन याद रखना आप लोग. तो शशुक कहाँ होता है? शशुक ये होता है मेघालय में इन द खासी रीजन. डांस ऑफ द पीसफुल हार्ट्स. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग सिटीज नॉट वन ऑफ और ट्रेडिशनल लोकेशन ऑफ द कुंभ मेला? कहाँ पे नहीं होता है? उज्जैन, नासिक, वाराणसी में कुंभ मेला नहीं होता है. ओके. हरिद्वार, प्रयागराज, उज्जैन, नासिक, नॉट इन वाराणसी. In 2017, Kumbh Mela was included in the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage. Okay, and Kumbh Mela was organized every 12 years in Haridwar, Prayagraj. Art Kumbh is organized also every 6 years. The Raja is a festival in which of the following state? So Raja, it is looking at Raja Parba. हाँ, ठीक है. Primarily, it is an easy question. I would say one of the girls celebrated to mark the moon of the onset. Okay. गान नगाई. नगाई एंड दीज आर इन मणिपुर रिलेटेड. ठीक है. नगाई आ गया, कुछ आ गया तो दीज आर जनरली फ्रॉम द मणिपुर. ओके, विच इंक्लूड जीमी, लिगमाई एंड रोंगमी ट्राइब. दिस फेस्टिवल इज सेलिब्रेटेड इन द मंथ ऑफ दिसंबर और जनवरी. चैड लाहो इज अ पॉपुलर ट्रेडिशनल फेस्टिवल इन डैश इन मेस्टाला. चैड लाहो क्या कि कौन सा फेस्टिवल? इट इज अ फोक डांस फेस्टिवल. ओके. Other folk dances are Nongkrem, Mangala, Bedin Khalam. The different communities celebrated. Guru Vayur festival is celebrated in which of the following state? Guru Vayur celebrated in Kerala. Important religion festival is a famous Guru Sri Krishna temple, also known as Dwarka of the South. Okay. Mani Mesh fair is held in which of the following state? Mahesh B. Himachal Pradesh. The Jahedthan plays a central role in sacrificial ritual of which Eroxim Jayantar is a sacred grove believed in as Jahera lady or the sacred. हाथ जोड़ ले यार मैंने ये वाले क्वेश्चन से कसम से. Which of the following is true about Yaoshang of Manipur? यार थाल तो बहन था. Where is the moonlight circle dance? जितवी पूजा performed married woman worship of God is. आप लोग अगर ये सोच रहे हो कि you will remember the all these, it is really a tough task. If you will invest your energy towards some other tasks such as current affairs and the other important exam, then you can be more. But yeah, you have to give energy to this also because these are really complex questions. Yeah, it is not easy to remember them. I have studied static GK last year. when the TCS pattern was there. Like it was really easy, but let's go. Jitvi Puja is in Maharashtra. Repeated question. Okay. Guru Bihu, Kati Bihu. Sky Lemon attract pest. कौन करता है pest को attract? Answer for 2 and 3. Now coming on the tomorrow, what we are going to cover. We are going to cover the books and authors parts, and apart from that, we will be going 2 chapters or 3 chapters from the polity.